Guys, we are joined by another fantastic, fabulous guest, Humayun Sheikh, who's the founder of a crypto platform that you guys all know and love, Fetch AI. Humayun, good to see you. Finally meet you in person.
Yeah, pleasure.
We've done a few podcasts before online.
Yeah.
You've been enjoying the conference so far, I hope.
It's been great. Yeah, thank you. We did a good panel with Chainlink. That was good.
Awesome.
So yeah, I think I'm enjoying it. I like the sun anyway in Austin, so we got half an hour of that. So that was good.
Love it. It's been a pretty big month for you guys. Your whole world, or your community's world, has really changed with the ASI merger, the artificial superintelligence merger between Fetch AI, AGIX, which is Singularity Net, and Ocean Protocol. They're all three combining at a merged valuation of $7.5 billion. So we want to unpack everything. We want from the horse's mouth, if you will.
Go for it.
So tell us, what was the impetus for this merger? Why'd you guys do it?
So if you look at what's happening in the crypto world, what's happening generally in the world, I mean, AI, we all know, is here and it's here to stay, and it's going to get bigger and better. We feel that we struggle in comparison to centralized entities like the big corporations, Google, Microsoft. If we are really going to get decentralized AI to even survive, we need to provide a viable alternative to centralized technology.
Absolutely.
So that was the trigger point. Now, when you look at what's been happening in crypto spaces, there's a lot of projects, and I've just finished the conversation on the panel, which says there's too much infrastructure. There's very little use cases. We have DeFi as a use case, great. We have meme coins as a use case, that's great too. But we really need some real world applications, and AI brings those applications. In my mind, I have no doubt decentralized AI will be needed, and it's going to come. Now, if you have, within that space, you have three tokens, you have three projects which are very complementary to each other. I mean, it's a market dynamic. It's logical to say, hey, let's put all the stacks together. If we're going to build use cases, give the builders of the use cases the tech stack, which makes sense. It's collectively combined, and you can actually build applications on top of it. So that's really was the beginning. That was the starting point of this whole conversation. And I think we're kind of mature projects. We're 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I think Singularity is probably 6, 7 years old. So we felt that it's the right thing to do, and the community is quite happy with the fact that yes, that's what we're doing, and it makes sense, really. I mean, how many tokens do you need? How many projects do you need? How much infrastructure do you need? We need to cut the cost. We need to become very competitive. We need to offer a technology which becomes viable. And if you look at what we're doing, is we're taking the data layer, we're taking the AI model layer, which is Singularity, data, which is Ocean, and application layer, which is the agents, which is Fetch, and then putting underneath also the compute, Fetch Compute, which we announced a couple of months ago. So all of that put together is a tech stack which any AI developer who's looking to build either the model or use something with the data or build an application is going to need all of those. So that's really makes sense.
Yeah, and I want everybody to understand, Humayun is not just opportunistically here, capitalizing on the hot button sort of crypto plus AI. You've been doing AI before maybe even I was born. No, I'm kidding. But you were.
I wouldn't go too far.
You were one of the earliest investors in Google's OG original sort of AI intelligence. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen as the evolution from those early investments. I believe it was called Deep Brain or Deep Mind? Deep Mind. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so 2007 is when that whole thing started. And we started coming out of gaming, where I got together with Demis. I was the first one of 5, and then the first check which went into Deep Mind was mine. So we created this on the premise that we're going to crack this AGI problem. 3 years later, we sold out to Google. Right. So short time. But why did we sell out to Google was because the machine learning models we were building needed a huge compute. The compute was expensive. It wasn't available. So, it became clear to me if we're going to build anything to do with AI, there are two routes. One route is the big corporation route, which needs a lot of data and distribution channel. And the second route is more granular approach, which is of the agentic network approach. Now, they can combine and they can work together, but it's perhaps better to separate them out because you don't want to bite too much you can't chew.
Right.
So I took the approach of Fetch AI, which was more, let's build granular agentic network, which actually learns from itself, follows like emergent behaviors. But DeepMind took the route of let's build big models with big data run on big compute. So that's the beginning. And when you look at how agents can work with different machine learning models, you can go back into bigger models with corporations, machine learning models, and LLMs, all of that. You can interact with all of that through agents. And the point I'm trying to kind of get to is decentralization works better with agents and agentic networks where you have granular AIs running around doing things for people.
And when I think about everybody's talking about Chat GPT, that's kind of the most tangible sort of aha moment for a lot of people. And apparently it takes a lot of compute, as you're saying, a lot of energy in order to do this. Then the next thing was Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg buying up millions or billions of dollars worth of these chips, these NVIDIA chips, in order to train their special AI. And like you said, your triumvirate is really trying to compete with that. So are you guys also buying up these NVIDIA things, or is that just a completely different sector of AI, basically?
So our approach is slightly parallel. It's slightly different. We don't want to deploy huge compute because that's not the game we're in, right? We don't have that kind of money. I mean, we're not going to raise that kind of money, and I don't think we should raise that kind of money. That's going to become commoditized. The foundational LLMs, the big LLM models are going to become commoditized. We're not, we're looking at a different way where we're saying, okay, data is not everything. We don't have to ingest every data set. What we want to do is componentize it and start solving real problems with AI. And we will see emergent behavior come out of it. And I think it might not be, and I think we're kind of leaning towards this ASI bit, which is the special intelligence bit. General intelligence is great, and it's a job for bigger guys perhaps who have a lot of data and have a lot of huge compute, but more specialist AI models, which can actually understand the vertical they're in, and then they can take actions, and they can actually interact and learn. That's what we feel we need to be kind of focused on.
And from a practical standpoint, tell me if I'm off base. So say, for instance, I want to give my AI agent on this platform, $100 and say, hey, I'm looking for, a movie ticket to this sort of area. Go out and find the best movie ticket around this time within 10 miles and make that transaction, is that kind of something that these AI agents would be doing, or how does it kind of work?
That's absolutely, a very good example of a use case, a possible use case. But you can do the same thing with, I'm looking for a prediction, a machine learning model which can give me a prediction about weather, or can give me a prediction about traffic congestion, or give me a prediction about how the corn farming this year is going to be affecting the price. You can ask all sorts of questions, but then you need to take it from there to actually the action. And when you take it to the action, it's very cumbersome to create a monolithic model which does everything. It's easier if you have a AI engine which actually translates what your objective is and actually asks all the other agents to go and do the task for you.
Wow.
Then you don't need to build something monolithic. Then what you're doing is you're very dynamically creating actions. You're dynamically creating services or applications. And I think that's the focus we want to go on to. And so you still need that, just to answer your previous question perhaps, we still need the compute, so we'll still need the GPUs, but we don't need the extent of the GPUs that perhaps building a foundational LLM needs.
Totally. And kind of, since this is the Crypto Community Summit, we always like to, see, how the crypto community is involved in the decision-making processes and all that kind of thing. And so the merger was a big community event. I'm just curious, like, how did you guys coordinate between the, the token holders of all three platforms, and what was that process like?
Actually, one of the things we wanted to do was to showcase how we can still build AI in a decentralized space, because nobody in the past has done this kind of merger of three different tokens.
It's truly the first of its kind.
It's the first time. So we wanted to see if we're going to build this AGI or ASI effectively, or some intelligence in a decentralized space. We all talk about it, but nobody's actually taken any physical action to say, okay, how do the communities come to an arrangement, their consensus, right? So that's really what we did. We went out, we took community votes, we asked the community to vote, we gave them all the options, and they voted, and we acted on that vote. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good example of, this is the beginning. This is not, merger is not the whole Big Bang. It's the beginning of the whole thing. And it became clear that if we put different votes at different times and give the right reasoning, it is possible to choose the right directions. And this is the direction which the community chose. And they could have rejected it, in which case we would have not done it.
Yeah, hey, so, maybe we were off base, right? Maybe we were thinking about something that the people didn't want, but the people wanted it.
People wanted it. So really, that's the beginning, and I think that's how we're going to, we're looking at creating consensus models where we can engage different communities, now becoming ASI community, but keeping still the sovereignty of their foundations. So how do they interact? These are all learnings that could apply exactly in the same way to AI. Mm-hmm. And this is about, just to give you an example, we're going to build a machine learning model. How do we build a decentralized machine learning model? We talk about it. I mean, we have showcased it. Fetch has showcased it 3 years ago. I mean, people are now showcasing it. We had a collective art generation program we did 3 years ago, which was called Co-Learn, which again was the whole community came together to build the art piece. Mm-hmm. And now if you translate that, effectively what it was a machine learning model which the community trained. Mm. And if you translate that into newer, bigger, better models, we feel we have all the tools to enable to do that. Mm-hmm. And we, as Fetch, didn't have the data privacy tools, but Ocean does. We were not focused on building the best models, but Singularity does. Mm. And then we were more focused on how we're going to commercialize, how we're going to build use cases, and that's what Fetch does. So now if you look at the whole tech stack, we have everything for developers.
I love it. So what I'm hearing is, in standard math, for the smart ones out there, 1 + 1 + 1 typically equals 3. But in this scenario, 1 + 1 + 1 maybe equals 4 or 5 or the
33.
whole. Yeah, or 33. What do they say? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
That's absolutely.
And it seems like right now, I mean, not financial advice. I'm a holder of all three tokens, and so I'm excited because I think that this is right now at $7.5 billion valuation. That to me is the beginning, right? And it's not like, oh, we made it, we're here, we summited Everest. It's like, this is the beginning, and this is actually probably extremely fair value or even relatively undervalued compared to that long-term growth trajectory.
Well, what we wanted to really do was to look at ourselves, look at the tech stack we have. And I mean, I can't suggest any valuations as such.
Of course.
But you have to be realistic about, but I can talk about other companies' valuations, right?
Sure.
People who are raising, I mean, Mistral is an example. There's other projects which are raising fundraising. Anthropic. They're not in this, in the crypto space, but they're building tech for AI, yep. Right? So if you now look at the components, the technology that we are bringing here, it's an alternative, but it's a much more complete tech stack,
Well-rounded, yeah.
with a mechanism which they don't have effectively of creating these tokens which can actually increase the value of the consensus itself, which can actually improve how you can achieve consensus either via staking, voting. I mean, you've got a whole mechanism here which none of these companies have got. On top of that, we have the actual application layer, which is we have probably one of the only ones, the agent network, which exists today. And as I'm sure you have seen, the whole agentic network conversation is evolving, and people are realizing that that's how this is all going to materialize. Absolutely. Ultimately. So without saying too much about the valuation, it's actually, I feel, definitely, I don't feel the valuation is representative of the tech stack.
I love that. Now, so this interview will be airing the week of the week of June 19th. So it's coming right up. And I want to know, for folks like myself and like some of my audience members who I've talked about these 3 tokens before, practically, how do we switch over? How does the token swap happen? What should we kind of expect?
So on the 11th, what would happen is the fetch, and I think this would have happened by the time you air it. On the 11th, fetch will become ASI. There will be a rename, there will be a new contract on Ethereum. We will have a network upgrade for fetch network. So if you're holding token on the fetch network, you don't really need to do anything. If you're holding token on an exchange, you probably don't need to do anything because the exchanges will kind of
do it for you.
Yeah, do it for you. So, but if you're not holding token on any of these exchanges and you're holding it on Ethereum or any other network, then you will have to do the process. But rather than just mentioning the process here, there will be a full documentation available for everybody to go through it. There will be help available from all 3 projects, which will guide you how to kind of convert the token into ASI.
Totally.
And but one thing I want to make it very clear, please be very aware, there's a lot of scams. You know, with popularity comes scams, right?
Totally.
So do not do anything unless you're 100% sure. Ask the community, ask the right people, look at the right tweets. I mean, just to mention, there's plenty of Twitter accounts which are copying Fetch AI with different, I mean, even I get sometimes confused and I like something and then I have to go back and unlike it and report it because it's just they make it so real.
Absolutely.
So please do not send any money to anywhere, do not send any fetch to anywhere, to any of the tokens. If it's in your wallet, it's safe, it doesn't matter, you don't have to rush to do anything. We will give you enough time, we will give you enough instructions to do all of it.
Absolutely. Take it slow. And again, we've told our community about all this. We will ourselves take on our responsibility as educators in the space to make sure that we're not trusting, we're verifying, and we're spreading that sort of, those links. Where are we going? What are the contract addresses? We're going to be doing newsletters on it. We have an email list.
We'll be working with you guys,
absolutely,
making sure everything goes smoothly.
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited. Humayun, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through, and we hope to see you back again soon.
Thank you for bringing me again.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Everybody at home watching, stay tuned. We're going to be back with some more great guests.
Thank you, guys.